All right, so last week we built the Node.js server from scratch, just using the HTTP module, the FS module, and the path module. This week we're gonna build an Express server with similar. Um, we're gonna build it with similar modules. Let me go ahead and
Okay.
share my screen.
Okay.
And also the pseudocode. So this week we're going to build an Express server. We're also going to be using the path, um, and we're going to be using the file system as well. So we're going to be using a couple of the same modules. The one module we're not going to be using this week is HTTP. So Express
Okay.
basically replaces that HTTP module, and it makes using the HTTP module that much easier. So there's two big steps to this. One is just creating the project structure, like creating the directories and the files that we need for the project. And then the second part is going to be writing the code. And I think we'll actually be able to finish the whole code today. I'm going to go ahead and pull open the Express.js docs as well, just so
Okay.
we could sort of
Okay.
start looking at that as well. And I'm going to open up the Node.js docs too, just so we have.
I don't see your screen. I just see your audio. I don't see your screen.
Oh, you should I'm sharing. You should just be able to click on my name or you're
Oh, okay. I see it right here.
yeah,
It
yeah,
said
yeah.
watch stream. Okay. I see it right here. Uh-huh.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay. Okay.
All right, so the
Wow.
first thing we want to do is just create the project structure. So very similar to the last project that we created when we were building Node.js server from scratch. We're going to go ahead and create a public folder, and inside that public folder, create an index.html file.
Okay. So just like last time.
Yep.
Okay. So you're gonna create a folder,
Yes.
public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There
And
you
then
go.
right in that public folder we create a file called what is it? Index.html.
Index.html. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Create a JS file for us. So next create a JS file, right?
We have the index. All right, yes. Outside of the public folder, just in the root of the directory, create the server.js file. So just like last week.
Under this, under Express.
Yes.
Okay. So under Express, we do the you said create a file, right?
Yes.
So it'd be js.server or
Server.js.
oh server.js. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then since I have the command line over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run um, npm init y. This is going to initialize our application as a Node.js application, and this is going to give us access to the world of packages, including Express, um,
Wow. Okay.
and tons of other ones too. So let me go ahead and
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I sent this to you, but I'll go ahead and send this to you again just so you have it. This is the npm website. This is
Okay.
where you're going to be able to explore all the different packages. So if I'm on the npm website and I type in Express, you can see the first one that comes up is Express, and this is the one that we're going to be using. But
Okay.
there's tons of other ones that we could use as well, like React, or like I was using this one the other day, Shapefile. So this right here gives you access to a world of code. This gives you access. npm gives you access to code that was written by millions of other developers who wrote code that solved the problem that you're trying to solve probably already. So that's the first
Okay.
thing. For the most part, especially if I'm trying to build something fast, get it up and running. I'm always checking if there's an npm package that exists that has code that's doing what I'm trying to do already. Because if the code already exists, I don't want to rewrite the code. That just slows us down, right?
Yes.
So if we want to, we could go ahead and build the Node.js server the way we did last week with just built-in Node modules like HTTP. This week, we're actually going to use an npm module called Express because someone has already written code that makes building servers easier. And so
Oh,
that's what we're going to do. That's what
okay.
Express is. Express is just code that makes building servers easier.
Makes building servers easier. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
So one other thing I'm going to do before we go ahead and start writing the code is, so we have access to all of the Node.js stuff. So if I go ahead and I do import or const fs equals require fs, we have access to that package. So like some modules, some packages we already have access to. The packages that we already have access to, they're Node.js packages. So if you come to Node documentation, all of these we have access to directly because we have Node on our
Wow.
computer. So all this
Yes.
code already exists on our computer. If you have Node on
Okay.
your computer, you already have all this code stored somewhere, and you just have to import it from your file system essentially. But with Express, we don't have Express on our computer. We have to import Express on our computer. So what I'm going to do is in the command line, after I run npm init y, let's initialize the repository. Boom. And if you look at our
Wow.
code base, now we have a package.json.
Oh, okay.
So that's showing you that now we have npm.
That's npm. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now we have access to packages and that sort of thing.
In npm. In Express. Okay.
Now you see here that we don't have any dependencies in here yet. We have a name, we have the version, description of our application. The main file of our application is server.js. We have a couple scripts. We could change these scripts to make like running certain commands easier so we don't have to type them out every single time. Like if we run npm start, it's going to run node server.js. Remember how you had to type it in
Oh.
manually before?
Yes.
You could just do npm start, and if you run npm start, it's going to run this command. So we could go ahead
Oh,
and
nice.
this is actually a very very important piece, is creating scripts that just make executing certain commands pretty easy. Um,
Oh, wow.
for author,
Okay.
we could just go ahead and say Tiffany. And then once we install Express, you're going to see another one pop up here. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let me do npm install Express.
Wow.
Boom. We just installed Express, and you can see now we have dependencies here and expresses
Wow.
here. And if you look at node
Oh.
modules,
Oh.
we come to
Wow.
Express,
That is cool. That is so cool. Wow.
and you can see this is the root of the Express. So you can see now we have our node modules. If you want to actually see the Express code, like the code that has already been written by other developers, click on node modules, come down to Express. You see index.js. You can see we're importing. This is the root file of their project. The root file of our
Uh-huh.
project is server.js. The root file of their project is index.js. So you can
Okay.
see that they're importing the entire Express code from /lib express. So if we go to lib and then we click on Express, this is the root
Wow.
Express code.
So this is what you could actually use this.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, we're gonna use this. We're using this code,
Okay.
but we're not gonna like actually modify any of this code. This code we just want
Okay.
to keep it the way it is. I do know people who come in
Right.
and they make tweaks to the libraries and kind of like customize them for their project, but as someone who's new to this kind of stuff, you don't really want to come in and start messing around with stuff because it could ruin your application.
Ye- Okay. So you're recording this, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So so you I would definitely recommend exploring these files though. Like
Okay.
exploring this stuff. and just trying to figure it out a little bit. You could see we have create application.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
let's see. So if we look at create application, they're creating a variable on line 38 called app. This is a function, and they're executing app.handle. So if we scroll up, we should see body parser. We're exporting the create application function. Couple other functions here, and then we're adding an object to the app. So you can see, remember how we were using the request and the response objects?
Mm-hmm.
This code right here is this adding the object to the Express server. So they're like, okay, when you create your Express application, the request property is going to be an object. They're creating an object. They're passing in the request. So if you come up here, you can see they're getting the request object from this here, from the / request. They're using that to create the object, and then they're adding just some like configuration details
Okay.
to this. So let's just say we go to the request. This is all the code for request.
Wow.
It's pretty big. 500 lines of code.
Wow.
So this is a request. Like if you really want to understand requests in Express.js, come and figure this code out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Then you won't have any questions. The easy thing to do though, instead of going and reading the code, is coming to the documentation. So if we come to the Express.js documentation, we go to API reference, you could just click on request.
Okay.
And then this gives you basically like, it summarizes the request code. So it shows you how to use the request code without actually having to like pick through the code, you know?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's basically, documentation is basically like summarizing code. It's just,
All right.
it's turning the code into a readable form that allows like people to understand the concept of what the code is doing quickly,
Okay.
essentially. So,
Nice.
and same thing with that original file that we were looking at, the express.js.
Mm-hmm.
We have our application here. Same thing. This is an Express application, another like 600 lines of code. You could go ahead and read all this code and really understand what the Express application is, or you could just come to the documentation, click on application,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see that the
Oh.
app object conventionally denotes the Express application created by calling the top level Express function exported by the Express module. So this is, we're actually going to write this code today.
Okay.
But just to give you a little idea about like the libraries we're using and that sort of thing. Let me go ahead and close all this stuff here, and we'll focus on our application. So all that code exists. We have that
Okay.
access to that code in our project, and that's all code that we're going to be using to build our Express application. So like you can use the HTTP module that's built directly into Node that you have already on your computer, or you could just do npm install Express, and basically what Express is a wrapper around the HTTP module that makes using the HTTP module easier.
Okay. So is that something that I should like code along with you, or actually I could actually go back and and take a look at this, and we just code through the live share.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just write some code now.
Okay.
So we have, let me go ahead and delete this that I created here. I'm gonna let you do all the coding here. So the first thing we're gonna do
Okay.
is inside the public, we have our index.html. So go ahead and just add some HTML boilerplate here. Just type HTML and then select the HTML5 option.
HTML. Okay.
And inside
Okay.
title, just type Express. Just so that's what shows up in the tab.
Okay.
And then go ahead and just add like an H3 or something that says Express application. That's cool. Or H1,
In
doesn't
the
really
body?
matter. Yep.
Yeah. So, and then you said Express application.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right, cool. So that's our HTML file. We're good to go. We can go ahead and close that. We'll go over to the server and we'll build this out. So the first thing you want to do is just import the necessary packages or the modules into the server.js. So go ahead and do const fs equals require a string of fs.
So const space fs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Equals require fs. So this is giving us access to the Node.js
So
module.
equals require dot fs. Oh.
No, the full word require.
Oh,
Because this
require.
has nothing to do with the request and the response in the server. This is just importing our packages. So require parentheses,
Okay.
string. I mean, like
Mhm.
actually create a string with the quotations.
Oh, with the quotations.
Yeah, sorry. And then just
Okay.
fs.
Fs. Okay.
Yes, semicolon at the end. All right, so now
Okay.
we have access to the fs. So if you look at my screen really quickly.
Okay. Let me look at yours. Okay.
So now this file system module here in the Node.js documentation, we have access to all of these methods now.
Okay. Wow.
Now we could use any of those methods in our code. So next line, we're going to go ahead and we're going to import the path. So go ahead and give that a shot without me explaining it.
Import a path.
Yeah, so we just imported the file system. Go ahead and import the path module now. We did this last week too.
Would it be const file path, right? Or const path
Path.
required.
Yep, path.
It'll be const path required. And what you said that we had to enter?
Just path.
Oh, path. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, string and then path.
Yep. And you could always come over to the documentation too, where if you're like, hey, I need to import the path, just click on the path module, and you're gonna see how to import it. That's the first thing it's gonna tell you is how to import it.
Oh, okay.
So you can
Path.
see const
Okay,
path
that's in the
equals.
node.
They do node colon path, but you could just do path. You don't have to add the node colon. The computer knows.
Okay. Okay.
And then the last thing we're gonna import on line 3 is Express. So just do the same thing with Express.
Be const
Mm-hmm.
express, right?
Yes. And the same thing with Express. If you come to the Express documentation, you can see the first thing that it shows you is how to import Express.
So did you type in express.com or did you go through npm
npm.
JS to get to the express?
npm. I did npm install Express.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so express required express. Okay. Okay.
Cool, cool.
And then
Semicolon
colons.
and then make a couple lines. Yep. All right. So the first thing we want to do is now we have Express. Like this right here is an Express server. This right here gives us access to the code inside of our Node modules that I just showed you a few minutes ago. But we have to
Okay.
initialize the Express server. We have to say like, hey, create a server object. And the way that we do that is with this code right here. So go ahead, instead of var, just use const though.
So it'll be const app
Yep.
equals express.
Yep. And then call the Express function.
Okay. It'll be const. So const app.
Yep.
Equals the same way, like oh, let me go to the page. Oh, express and then parentheses. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Just add that S. All right.
Okay.
Cool. So now let's go ahead and just console log app so you can see what this is. So let me go ahead and run this really quickly. So if we do npm start,
Okay.
this is what we have. This is our app right here. You can see
Wow.
it's a lot. So it's a function, but this is a server. So this
Wow.
is all the stuff that we have access to. This right here, all these things are functions, you can see.
Functions.
They're
Okay.
all functions.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So get is a function. We're going to use this one today.
Okay.
And these are all the other functions that are built in.
Okay.
Then we have like settings. You could customize settings for your server.
Wow. Okay.
Some local settings. You could customize those as well. And yeah, just tons of functionality here. All right.
Nice.
So now you see what, when you call this express function, it gives you all this stuff. It gives you an object with a ton of different functions. All right.
So you're using the command line on your computer. You're not using get back. You're using just a regular command line.
Yeah, just a regular command line.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then similar to last week, we're also going to go ahead and we're going to create the port and we're going to create the host name as well. So go ahead and create two variables, both of them constants. And
Const port, right?
yeah,
Or
const port and const host name. Port is going to be 3000. Host name is going to be localhost.
okay. So const port. You said 3000.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
And just make port and host name both capital, like capital letters, since these values
Okay.
are never going to change in our program.
Okay. So port.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one would be, you said const host name?
Yep.
And you said local.
A string of localhost. Yep.
So the string, like local,
Localhost. Yep.
local host. Okay.
All right. Perfect. So we have the variables that we need. All that is set up. Now, if you look at the code from last week, you're going to see that we actually had to create a function, right?
Yes.
We had to create a server. We had to do HTTP create server. So we actually had to create our server, and we passed the function into our server, and we also created the function. Now we already have the function. The app is our function. It's the Express application, and all the functionality lives inside of that app. So what we want to do is now we just want to add the paths. So we have two paths that we want to add. We'll go ahead and we'll add both of the paths before we actually execute any code. So let's look at the Express
Okay.
documentation. And if you look at the application, you can see, we're going to do some GET requests.
Okay. Wow. Oh.
So app.get, and we're going to do just like this right here. So create two just like this. Don't type any code inside of it. Just do app.get, add the parentheses. The first argument is going to be the path, and the second argument is going to be our callback function that executes when someone goes to this path.
Okay.
So go ahead and do that for / and then do that for notes, / notes.
Okay. So it'll be app get.
Yep.
And then do another one with app notes, right? Or no.
Or
Okay.
app.get / and then an app.get / notes.
Okay.
So let me write out the structure really quickly, and then you'll go ahead and you'll create two underneath what I'm doing. So we're doing app.get path, and then callback function. So it takes two arguments. It's going to take a path, and it's going to take the callback function. The way I do the callback function is rec res, just like that. And you could just leave them empty for right now. So we're passing a function in as the second argument with rec and res as the parameters.
Okay.
So go ahead and just create two gets.
Okay. So it'll be app dot, what is it, notes, right?
App.get.
Oh, get. Okay.
First one is just going to be a string of /.
Oh, string /
Yep. You want to go ahead and create the second one. Let's just add the paths for now. So just down here on line 13, do another app.get, but this time / notes.
Okay. So do another app dot get, and then string / notes.
Yes,
like
perfect.
That?
Yes.
Okay.
So now we have two route handlers that are going to handle when somebody lands on / and when someone lands on / notes. So we've added the path. Now we just need to add the callback function as the second argument. So go ahead and do a comma and then add the callback function, like how I did it.
Okay. So comma, right?
Yep.
But then you said type in callback
Nope.
function?
No, actually define a function. So just a function definition. So like there's a couple different ways you could do a function definition. You could do like function. This is my function.
Oh, create a function. Okay. Okay.
You could do it this way, or you could just do like other function equals like this. So we're gonna use this method. So just pass in an arrow function.
So type that in there. Type in function.
We're gonna define it as just like an arrow function, so you don't even have to type the keyword function. Just make the parentheses.
Okay.
Do the equal sign with the arrow.
Oh.
Space.
Okay.
Curly brace.
Okay.
Enter.
Enter.
Enter inside the curly braces. For some reason, every time you create curly braces, it brings you outside the curly brace. I don't know why that's happening.
Okay, so enter inside the curly brace. Okay.
Yep. and then just a semicolon there. Make a space there in between arguments. All right, cool. So we have that callback function passed in. Now go ahead and do the same thing for the second get route handler.
Oh, the same way that we did with the
Yep.
Same way that we did with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm, yep. Then you did this, and then parentheses. So this little error would be, oh, it is a function. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, instead of typing it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And this is just telling Express that, like, hey, when someone goes to this path, execute this function.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then like that, right?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep. Just a little semicolon at the end there. All right. So inside these functions, we're going to want access to the request and the response object. So we want to pass in a request and a response. That way, inside this code, inside this function, we're going to have access to those objects. And if you go ahead and read the Express code, you'll see that Express actually makes sure that inside this callback function, we have access to the request and the response objects. Like, they make sure that as long as we pass them in here, then we'll be able to access them.
Okay.
So go ahead and do the same thing for the second function on line 15. Just pass in the request and the response object.
Okay, in parentheses. So just type that in parentheses.
Yep.
Request. Okay.
Perfect. So now we have these two route handlers, and when somebody goes to the home page, this function is going to execute. When someone goes to /notes, this function is going to execute. I'll go ahead and delete. We don't need this anymore. All right. Do you have any questions yet?
No questions. I'm following along because I'm going back and forth with the live share, and then I'm going back to your share page.
Okay, cool. So when somebody lands on our home page, the code that's going to be inside here is going to be almost identical to the code that we wrote last week. So go ahead and create a constant called file path.
Okay.
On
right
line
here
10.
under app, right?
On line 10. Yep.
Const. Path.
And we'll do camel case, so just turn the P into capital P.
Oh, turn the E into a capital P. Okay.
Just to like maintain the regular standards and stuff, you know?
Okay.
And then, oops. And then, do you remember how we're gonna find this path? Do you remember what module we're gonna use? Are we gonna use the file system module? Are we gonna use the path module? Are we gonna use the express module? What are we gonna use?
For the file path.
Yes.
We could use the path. Well, you know, it's a file system. I'm thinking the file system, right? Check if file exists.
Not the file system. We're gonna use the path.
Path.
Yeah. So we're gonna use path. We're gonna use the resolve method. So path.resolve.
Path.resolve.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we just want, what we want returned here is the location of our file.
Okay. So the path.resolve, would that be on the same line as 10 or?
Yep. So just const file path equals path.resolve.
RES, right? Or just, we can do this or do the whole thing, resolve?
RESOLVE. Yep, the whole thing. Because
Okay.
if you do just RES, you're thinking about this object here. This is different functionality here. So,
different function. Okay.
and then do parentheses.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
inside the parentheses, you want to add the directory name, like underscore underscore dir name,
Okay.
and comma, space, and then the file that we're trying to access is inside public / index.html.
Public / index .html. Okay. Okay.
And you just want to make sure that this is a string here.
Okay, the quote.
Yep.
Okay.
Boom. There you go. Little semicolon there. So basically what path.resolve is doing is you're passing in directory name. So this is basically giving you a string of what the name of our directory is. The name of our directory is one_express. So it's going to give us that, and then it's going to take this, and it's going to combine them, and it's going to give us
Okay.
like the the path that our file that we're trying to access is in. So dir
Okay.
name, we'll pass that in first, just so we know that we're working inside of our directory. Because with Node, you could access any file on your computer. We want to make sure that we're only accessing files within the project that we're working. So directory name is going to make sure that we're inside the directory that we want to stay inside.
Okay.
And then public is just another directory, and this is the actual file. So
Okay.
now we have our file path. Next, we want to create a constant called file exists.
Hunt's file exists. Okay. Would that be
Just right on line 11 underneath line 10.
okay. Const file system or what?
File exists. So this is either going to
Okay.
return true or false.
File exists.
Yep. Just make sure it's camel case like the other ones.
Okay.
Yep.
File and then exists, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this time we're not going to be using the path module. We're going to be using the file system module. And the method that we're going to be using is exists sync.
Exist sync.
Exists sync. Yeah, if you look at my pseudo code here,
Uh-huh.
you'll see it right there. And then we just want to pass the file path into exist sync. So exist sync is going to take a file path. It's going to check to see if that file exists.
Okay. So it'd be file exists and then equals exists sync, right?
Yeah, so const file exists equals fs dot exist sync. Yep.
Equals fs dot exist sync. Oh,
Exists. I believe
okay.
there's an S. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then parentheses
Okay.
and pass in our file path there.
You said pass
Yep.
or PASS?
File path. The
Oh,
constant.
file path. I'm
Yep.
sorry. File. File. Is it pass? Yeah. Yeah.
There
Okay.
you go. Perfect. Now this is either going to be true or false here.
And then semicolon at the end.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So now we want to check if that file exists. So we want to write a if conditional. So go ahead and for now just say create an if with the parentheses and then create an else at the end.
If and then parentheses,
Hmm.
and then else.
With the semicolons. Yeah, just like a regular if block.
Okay. Oh wait, should I just do an enter in here?
For now, we'll just create the structure. So go ahead, do if. Oops, sorry.
Okay.
And then the curly braces and press enter.
Okay. Curly braces, then enter.
Yep. And
Okay.
after that, closing curly brace, write else, and then create uh, another curly brace.
Oh, okay. Else,
Yeah.
and then another curly brace.
Yep. And press enter inside that curly brace.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
So we have our if else. Now, do you know what we pass inside this if?
Um,
Take a gander.
something similar to what we did with the other one. So you
Yes.
put the if file exists.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And that would be like a exclamation point, right? File exists.
Yes,
So
exactly.
okay. If file, if file exists.
Oh, we're just missing an S there. All right, cool. So if the file does not exist, then we want to return some HTML that just like the HTML we had last time, just an HTML tag with a body tag with an H3 that says file does not exist. So, but there's a couple things we want to do first. Last week we changed the status code and we also changed the content type, like what we're actually passing back, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this time, what we're gonna do is we're going to, so it's a little bit different here. Before we used res.status code
Yes.
in Express, it's res.status. So go ahead and
So
just do res.status with the
okay.
parentheses.
Okay.
Parentheses and pass
Okay.
in 404.
You said path.
Just 404.
Oh, just 404.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just setting the status of the
Oh,
response. So
okay.
semicolon
Okay.
and then execute res.send. So
Right here. Right.
the type of content that's being sent back is set automatically.
Okay. So you do res dot send.
Yep.
Okay. Uh huh.
Parentheses.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead and do enter and we'll just write some HTML inside of here.
Oh, okay. The we can do the H3. Just do like a little heading. Um, do express.
Yep. Just make sure you
Okay.
wrap the H3 also in HTML and a body tag.
Oh, put a body tag
Yes.
above the H3.
Yeah.
Okay.
HTML tag and a body tag.
Okay. So HTML
Hmm.
like that,
Yep.
and then body.
Make sure the body's inside the HTML though. and the H3 is inside the body.
Okay. So let me cut this. Oh, she did this. Hold on. Right here. Then do body first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just do the tabs like this, right? Over.
Yep.
Like that.
Yep.
And then, okay, Control V.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so just clean that up a little bit, make it look like well structured.
Okay. Like that, or
Yeah, I would do even. And then I'll
it's
remove
a lot of spacing.
all
Yeah,
that there.
it's a lot of spacing.
Yeah, so and
Oh,
then
nice.
semicolon
Okay.
at the end.
Okay.
And so you're passing in HTML directly. If you look at the documentation, you could pass in HTML. You just want to make sure that that HTML is wrapped in a string. The thing is, since we have multiple lines and it's not all on one line, you want to use template literals instead of
Okay.
regular double quotes or single quotes. You want to use the template literals that are on the left side of the one. So the key that's on right on the left of the one key on the top left of your keyboard, just wrap the HTML in those template
Okay.
literals.
Okay. So the F1 key, you want to press that?
Just on the left of the one, you see the one key on the
Oh,
top left?
escape. Yes.
Not the escape, just directly on the left of the one. There should be the tilde and the template literal symbol.
Oh, you say you talking about something like that?
Yes, exactly. So just wrap the HTML in that.
So are you talking about the little tick?
Yeah, the backticks. Yep. Wrap the entire HTML. So put the first backtick before any HTML starts, and the second backtick after the HTML ends.
Like this?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, after the HTML.
After the H. Okay, I never did that before. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so now we're good to go. So res.end, so res.status and res.send. Now, let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
If the file doesn't exist, we set the status to 404 and then we sent a response back to the browser that makes this or the computer that makes this request. Last week, when we were using the HTTP built-in node module, there was one more that we included here. We had status, we had the send, but then we also had something else. Do you remember what that was?
End, right? Would it be end?
Nope. So send is the same as end, but
Oh,
there was
okay.
something else that we included.
I'm thinking it says you got status, you got set header.
Set header. Yes.
Yes.
So what did we
So it'd
set
be
in that header?
I'm looking at the other one.
Yep.
Our res dot set header,
Mm-hmm.
and then content type,
Yep.
and then the file name, like got text slash HTML.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
So
okay.
you notice with Express, you don't have to add that. Express automatically detects what type of content you're sending back
Uh-huh.
and programs it for you.
Okay.
So you don't have to do the content type. If you want to modify the headers, you can still modify the headers, but with something simple like this, you don't even have to do that. The send
Okay.
method is going to be like, oh, this is HTML, and it's going to set the headers automatically. So that's one way that
Oh.
Express is a little bit easier than built-in Node.
Oh, okay.
Yes. All right, so that should be good right there. We have that code built right there. And now we want to handle the case where if the file does exist, right? So
Yes.
go ahead and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to set the status, but instead of 404, it's going to be 200. And then we're going to do, let's do that first.
Uh, is that 400 or
200.
uh,
Because, yeah, because,
200?
yep. Because this is a successful request. This is if the file does exist. And also
Okay.
something to keep in mind too is last time we did status code equals 200.
Okay.
So this was actually a property that existed on the response, and we
Mhm.
stored this value inside that property. Whereas with Express, it's a method. It's a method that modifies the response object for us. So
Okay.
that's where it's a little bit different, a little bit cleaner, and you're using a function to make changes to the object instead of changing the object itself, which will
Okay.
reduce side effects. Like things happening to your code that you don't want to happen to your code. Basically, because status, it has functionality built into it to make sure that when you pass in something like 200 or 404, that
Mhm.
it's a valid value.
Okay.
So it's like if you passed in a string, you might get an error like, oh, you can't set the status to a string, you know.
Just right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's much easier, and it's an actual method built onto the object. A little bit cleaner.
Okay.
And then after res.status, we're going to be sending a file. So if we look at the Express.js documentation and we click
Okay.
on response, this is the
Okay.
response documentation. And if we click on send file,
Okay.
you can see we have res.send file. And if you look at the code down here, we have res send file, and then you just want to pass in the file name.
Okay. Res dot send file.
Yeah, don't worry about these options. We're not going to set any options or any callback functions for now. We're just going to send the file.
Dot send file.
Yep.
Oh, capital, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And then pass in our file path.
Oh, file path, right?
Yes.
Okay.
File
Okay.
path, and then semicolon there.
Okay.
All right, so let's see. We're coming close to the end here, so let's see. All right, so I'm gonna let you build this app.get the / notes. It's literally the same exact code with the HTTP, the way that we did it last week with the Node.js, like the built-in Node.js. It's just we're
Huh?
using Express methods instead of HTTP methods. So
Okay.
let me go ahead and just send you the Express documentation so you have
Appreciate.
access to that. But there is a
Okay.
couple more things we have to type just to get this working first. So I
Okay.
sent you that.
Okay.
That's the Node.js documentation. So this path should work. When someone visits our home screen right now, it should work. If you look at the pseudocode, yeah, we did everything
Yes.
here, and then we just have. Let me go ahead and write this here. So this is what you'll do just for homework.
Okay.
And this is what you're going to do inside here. So,
Okay.
and then, all right, so one more thing we have to do. Do you remember last week? You can write this code, and basically what you're doing is you're adding functionality to this path in our in our Express server. So when somebody visits this path, now this function will run. But if we go ahead and start up this application now, let me go ahead and just start up the application.
Okay.
npm start. You can see that it starts and it ends.
Okay.
It
Oh,
the
yes.
the
Yes.
program ends. So we have this code, we run this file, but we're not actually starting our server. So what I want you to do really quickly is I want you to go to the Node.js or the Express.js documentation I just sent you.
Okay.
And I
I'm
want you to
clicking on that
just,
right now.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So click on, at the top of the documentation in the navigation, you're going to see API reference. Click on that.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And then you can see the first thing that pops up is the code that's at the top of our file, right?
Yes, I see 5x beta and then 4x. So you click
For
on 4x.
4x, yep.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And you can see at the top of that, you see the var express equals require express, right?
Yes.
The code.
Uh-huh.
All right, so if you scroll down just a little bit, because this right here is importing Express into our file, and it's creating an Express server. It's storing our Express server in that app variable. So everything we're doing is we're executing methods on the app because that's the server.
Oh.
But if you scroll down, what we want to look for is on the left side, you'll see application, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
click on application,
Uh-huh.
and then you see all the gray methods: app.all, app.delete, app.disable.
Yes.
Click on app.listen.
App dot listen. Okay.
Yes. So this is what we want to execute to
Oh, it's
actually start up our
identical to
server.
Node's HTTP. Oh, server listen. Okay.
Yeah. Binds
Wow.
and listens for
Okay.
connections on the specified host and port. This method is identical to Node's HTTP server listen. We used this last week just to start up our server. And that's the reason why when I went and ran this program just now, npm start, that it started and then it just stopped. Because the
Yes.
listen actually has like a, you know what set interval is, where like every second or however you set it, it's like executing the code that's inside of it on an interval. It's like set timeout, but it runs on an interval.
Yes.
It's like that. It just keeps your application live.
Ru-
It,
Oh,
it keeps
okay.
your
Okay.
application live and it keeps it listening, basically. So at the
Oh.
bottom, underneath on line 35, just do app.listen.
Okay. Okay. App. Oh. Okay. App dot listen.
Yep.
Oh, it's doing something really quick. Okay.
Parentheses.
Okay.
All right. So what we want to do here is we want to pass in 3 arguments. The first one is port. We created that on line 6. The second one is host name. We created that on line 7. And the third one is a callback function. So go ahead and do that.
Okay. So you put say port. So should
Yep.
we just put the number in there or just put port?
We already have the variable, so you want to use the variable.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just capital, though.
Okay. So we do something's going on with the screen. Just keep on moving.
I'm not
See,
seeing
it
it.
keeps moving. Yeah, it keeps moving every time I type. See? I'm not too sure why it's doing that.
Hmm.
See, it keeps moving every time I type. And you
Yeah.
said port.
Yep. Port. The host name. And then a callback function.
And then callback function.
Yep.
We just put
Similar
callback.
to this one here, just with the parentheses, the arrow function. Just don't include rec and res.
Oh, okay. This right here.
Yeah, you could just
Type this in,
just
right?
pass in a function. So like parentheses, arrow,
Oh, okay.
curly brace.
Parentheses, arrow, equals, arrow. And then curly brace, right after the
Yep.
parentheses or in the
In the
parentheses.
parentheses. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So let's just space it out just a little bit. All right. Now inside the the curly braces, press enter,
Okay.
and then just let's log something to the console here. So do console.log
Okay.
and do the backticks and do server is running.
Uh huh.
On and then space.
Uh,
Oh,
Space right here.
yeah, space right there.
Okay.
We want to pass some values. We want to pass variables into here. So go ahead and do $ curly brace
A dollar sign curly brace.
and
Oh, okay.
pass host name into there.
Inside the curly brace or just
Yeah, that's
just
good.
type in.
Inside the curly brace, yeah. And then
Okay.
after the curly brace, do a colon,
Okay.
colon. That's a semicolon.
Oh. Oh, wait.
There you go.
Colon, right?
And
Yes, there you go.
then also add the port. But we want to
Okay.
actually pass in the actual value, the 3000. So the same way you did host name, do port.
Okay. So just put 3000 there.
No, we'll actually use the variable. So just do $ curly braces and pass in the port variable. Yep.
Okay, dollar sign, curly braces, and then port inside.
Mm-hmm.
P-O-R-T. Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We'll just add some semicolons here. Now let's try to run this again. npm start. Looks like server is running on localhost 3000. So let me go to the browser.
Okay.
Localhost 3000. Express application. There we go.
Okay.
Now if we go to /notes, it's just gonna we're not handling this. We're never
It's
sending.
just spinning.
Yeah, it's just waiting for a response, but we never sending back a response. But if we did something like res.send sent or something like that, and then I restart the server, then you see we're getting sent now.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
now at least we're getting the response. It's not just gonna hang. So you're gonna have to respond to every request.
Okay.
But you'll go ahead this week. You'll go ahead and create this code right here. Let me actually add the pseudo code as well. Actually, I added the pseudo code. That is the pseudo code.
Okay.
So it's basically the same thing we did last week, just with the express methods.
Okay.
And then let me pull open this code because I have. So this is the code from our other server. I put it side by side.
Okay.
Now, oops. All right. So what do you notice? What's the difference that you notice here?
So what we did was for the Node.js, we didn't have to use the set header because it's already built in. So majority of the methods that we use in Express is already built in. Um, It's pretty much the same way, but it just certain things are like different.
Hmm. Exactly. And actually, in the code that I have here, we didn't even
Hmm.
finish this else statement here. We didn't finish the second request here. Um, actually,
Okay.
we didn't need that to begin with because we're only all right. So, and look how much less code it is
Wow.
right now, at least.
Yes, right now.
When you go ahead and build this uh, route handler out, it's going to be a little bit more code, but it's still going to be less code. You're probably only going to add
Okay.
a few lines of code here.
Okay.
And you could even clean it up a little bit just by doing like that. Something like that. That looks a little ugly though. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So there you go. But yeah, that's Express
Okay.
right there. So a little cleaner, a little easier. You don't have to write as much code. And then as we build out this application more and you see what you have to do to build it out in pure Node.js versus Express.js, the
Yes.
benefits of Express.js are going to become much more relevant to you. But that's a good point to make just for now. Like take one point today is you have to write less code.
With Express.js. Yes.
Exactly. You write less code with Express.js. They handle the header for you unless you want to go ahead and customize it yourself, which you can.
Okay.
So
And
yeah,
so I could just actually just go back and watch this video. And will we meet up on Tuesday?
you want to do Tuesday this week?
Yes.
We can do that.
Uh, okay. Wait,
That's
2
gonna be
p.m.
close to today though, because I
Uh,
I do want you to go ahead and create a GitHub repo for this as well.
okay.
Do you have any other questions, just about Express or built-in Node.js or anything like that?
Um, with Express, so I mean, if I was to go back to look at this video, I would have to do all the code by scratch. So I would just have to go back and look at the video. Um, so should I just go ahead and install Express on my computer?
I would only install Express if you're going to use it for a particular project. So remember how I
Okay.
did npm install Express when we first
Yeah.
started? I
Yes.
only did that because we're using Express on the computer. If you were going to contribute to Express, like you wanted to actually like contribute to the Express project, then I would keep Express on my computer. Like I would have
Okay.
a directory that's just like the Express code where I'm working on the Express code and working on issues and making pull requests to the actual project. But
Hmm.
if you don't plan on working on it, I wouldn't, because inside this project you have Express. If you go to Node Modules Express,
Okay.
you have
And
Express in here.
okay. So how were because we did everything on live share. So how will I actually put all this code in, the files,
I'm gonna
the
go.
packages?
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna send it to you. That way you could create
Oh,
a project from scratch. You could post the
okay.
code that you already wrote in your project, but also you're gonna have to do npm init, and you're also gonna have to do npm install express on your computer.
Okay.
So let me,
NPM in it. Okay.
yeah. So let me.
Let's give it more time. Let's do, yeah, Tuesday is kind of close.
There's the
Um,
code, and then let me actually share the
this
pseudo
could
code
actually
with
give me
you.
okay, because this could actually give me like a little bit more time to look at the documentation, going over the code. We could actually meet up. I'm thinking every Friday. Do I have anything? I don't think I have anything to do next weekend.
The only day that won't work
Friday
for me is Sunday next week.
okay. Friday and Saturday I'm good because I don't have nothing to do.
Okay, we can shoot for Friday then. When you have like
Okay.
more details and know the exact time, just shoot me a message.
Okay. Yes, like Friday after